Knowledge is the key to unlock the door to opportunities. In the pursuit of such knowledge and innovation, we gather here today for the Christ University Corporate Conclave 2023, a symposium of ideas, innovation, and inspiration, organized by the Center for Placements and Career Guidance. I heartily welcome Vice Chancellor, Reverend Dr. Father Joe C.C., Controller of Examinations, Dr. Johnny Joseph, Deans of all schools, HODs of various departments, faculty, industry experts, and our dear Christites. We are also honored to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. C. Jayakumar, panelists, and our moderators.
The Corporate Conclave is an unequal initiative by Christ University and is a testament to institutions' commitment to holistic education, recognizing that education is not limited to textbooks and lectures alone. The Conclave opens a gateway to the corporate world for its students. This pioneering effort showcases that university's dedication to equipping its graduate with not just knowledge, but also practical skills and insights required to excel in their chosen career.
The Center for Placements and Career Guidance is a noble venture of Christ University to prepare students and assist them to get placed in the corporate world. The CPCG works towards this aim through a soft skill training program, interview preparations, career guidance sessions, camps, and recruitment drives. The Corporate Conclave 2023 is themed The Epiphany Effect, Unveiling Academic and Industrial Breakthrough in the 21st Century through the Power of Inclusion.
In a world where knowledge and opportunities go hand in hand, the university has taken a remarkable step towards fostering collaboration between academia and industry. I, Joel Chen-Vargas,
And I, Apurva Ajit,
your MCs for the day, welcome you to this marvelous morning. Through graceful movements and intricate choreography and profound symbols, invocation dance harnesses the power of movements to communicate reverence and spirituality. To invocate the blessings of God Almighty, I welcome Natyarpana for invocation dance.
चतरंग निरत करत चतरंग सब मिल आनंद सो विभोर होत नाचत दैतारी भावत करत चतरंग निरत करत चतरंग निरत करत चतरंग निरत करत चतरंग सजनी सजन संग श्रृंगारत सजनी सजन संग श्रृंगारत सजनी सजन संग श्रृंगारत सजनी सजन संग श्रृंगारत विरहिन मिलत अपन पियासो विरहिन मिलत अपन पियासो नाचत गावत वृंदावन की कुंज गदिन में रास रचो है गिरिधारी गावत कृष्णा गोपबाल संताल देत है ब्रजनारी वीण मृदंग जगत बाजत तापर नाचत बनिहारी बंसी बट पर जमुना तट पर नृत्य करत है बनवारी चंद्रमुखी शरद जानकी रात बनी है उजियारी तत्तर थैता तथ देत छम 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 छनननननन तथ देत था नाच रही राधा प्यारी तकिट 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 तक देवी धान दान धान ता जय बनवारी जय जय गिरिधारी जय 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 कृष्ण मुरारी नी सरे म पसानी पमरे सा 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 नी पनी पनी सा पनी सरे मरे पमरे नी पमरे रे म प नी पनी सा पनी सरे रे सा नी पसानी पमनी पमरे सा नी प मरे सा नी सरे सा पनी सरे सा नी रे सा नी प मरे सा नी सरे सा नी सरे सा पमरे सा नी सरे ममनी प सा नी प सा नी नी सरे सा पमरे सा नी सरे ममनी प सा नी प सा नी नी सरे ममनी पमरे प सा नी नी सरे ममनी पमरे प सा नी नी सा नी प ममनी सा ममनी सा ममनी सा रे सा नी प सा नी पमनी पमरे सा नी प मरे सा नी सरे सा pani sa re sa ni re sa ni pa ma pa ma re sa ni sa re pa ma ni sa re pa ma sa ni sa re pa ma nirata karata chataram gar nirata karata chataram gar nirata karata chataram gar nirata karata chataram karata chataram gar
Truly, this dance performance has been nothing short of a wondrous spectacle, a feast to our senses. Thank you for being part of this magical moment. To symbolize the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and hope over despair, I invite our Vice Chancellor, Reverend Dr. Father Joe C.C., keynote speaker, Dr. C. Jayakumar, Controller of Examinations, Dr. Johnny Joseph, Director CPCG, Brigadier Jagdish Pandey, Organizing Committee Industry Representatives, Mr. Tanveer and Mr. Shinto, Placement Officers, Ms. Merlin L., Mr. Jackson Mendoza, and Mr. Claudius, and the University Student Council Representative for CPCG, Mehul Agarwal, for the lighting of the ceremonious lamp. I also invite the University Choir to present their special rendition that will enhance the beauty of this moment.
Bless you and keep you. Lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. The Lord may on you. Amen. Amen. Amen.
I would now like to welcome Dr. Vijaya R. to deliver the welcome address.
Greetings to one and all present here. Firstly, I would like to extend my thanks to everyone for gracing this event with your presence. On this jubilant occasion, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my warm welcome to the visionary leader who is known for his positive attitude, resilience, and determination, one who always inspires and energizes us to do our best. It is none other than our beloved Father, Dr. Joseph C.C., our Vice Chancellor. We welcome you, Father. Amongst us, we have one of the India's well-known HR leader who has received several awards for his achievement and significant contribution in the field of human resource. We are very delighted to have Dr. C. Jaikumar, Executive Vice President and Head, L&T, as our keynote speaker for this event. A special welcome to you, sir. I extend my welcome to the moderators and panelists of the event, Mr. Augustus Azaria, HR Leader, Kyndryl India, Dr. Rajesh US, Assistant Director, EY India, Major Jacob Kurian, Director, Human Resource, Harman International, Mr. Debanshu Das, Senior Counsel, Google, Mr. Deepak BV, Director, Talent Acquisition and Mobility, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Subhadeep Sarkar, Vice President, Legal and Corporate Affairs, Cognizant, Ms. Aparna C., Vice President, Human Resource, Akna Medical Private Limited, and Dr. Sapna S., Professor, School of Law, Christ University. It is an honor to be in the presence of elite corporates, distinguished professionals, and entrepreneurs. We are so excited to have you all here to participate in the event organized by our Center for Placement and Career Guidance at Christ University. In this occasion, I would like to welcome Brigadier B.G. Jagadish, who has joined as Director of CPCG. We grow and prosper because of the hard work and dedication put by the individuals and the group members. On behalf of my entire team, we welcome Dr. Johnny Joseph, Controller of Examination, Mr. Shinto Joseph, Director, Southeast Asia, Operation LDRA Limited, Mr. Tanvir Singh, Director, Human Resource, Product, and our placement coordinators, Ms. Merlin L., Mr. Jackson Mendonza, and Mr. Claudius, who has been showing their utmost support and indispensable effort in making this event a grand success. A hearty welcome to our deans, HODs, fellow faculty members from various departments, and our vibrant student community present here. I hope this platform would provide venue for all of us to share our ideas and thoughts that would enrich our understanding of the potentialities of this elite crowd which has gathered here to collaboration and to move forward. It's my pleasure to once again welcome you all for Corporate Conclave 2023.
Thank you, ma'am. I now call upon Professor Anna Theresa to present the concept note.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Dr. Joe C.C., our distinguished speaker, Dr. Jay Kumar, Executive Vice President and Head, Larsen and Toubro, panelists, participants, deans, associate deans, head of departments, faculty members, and my dear students. It is an honor to be here with the allied group, the corporate leaders in the industry. We all live in an era of challenges and opportunities. Most of us are in the runway to meet our goals. People focused on these goals will sustain in career. The industries neither want the sand nor the baked finished pot, but the processed soil can take any shape they wish. The academia and the industry are analogous to two sides of a river that flow independently. The statement contradicts in terms of science and engineering disciplines. They create linkages between the two sides, which has the potential to contribute to the betterment of both. We need to think how collaboration works smoothly in other disciplines as well. Universities serve the industry in two ways. It provides a workforce necessary to run the industry. And secondly, it furnishes innovative ideas to start new business ventures. The relationship does not work simple because of the inherent differences between the two. Universities desire to contribute to the theory and application to a certain extent. On the other hand, the industry is restrained by profitability. Christ University is a nurturing ground for an individual's holistic development, and we have opened up a forum for collaboration and welcome you to be part of our research and development, Christ Incubation Center, Christ Consulting Services. We have opened 8 Bloomberg terminals at Christ University. It is a platform that provides real-time secondary data for financial discipline experts. We also offer management development programs for the corporates, host events that are helpful for the industry delegates. Universities and industries can benefit from this interaction in many ways. Firstly, academicians need to look into a practical problem which they can apply their knowledge. When they are connected to the industry, will come across with practical issues demanding solutions. By linking to the industry, universities also get authentic source of data. It is an opportunity to provide practitioners with knowledge from research and to translate research into practice. Learning real-time case studies will help them to come up with solutions which ease out the problems and see solutions from different perspectives. Secondly, universities also revamped their curriculum in the light of interaction with the industry, which we are currently following, and that has increased the employability of our graduates. Finally, the linkage connects the advancement of knowledge with the advancement of practice. When opportunities are approached in a collaborative manner, the chances of a new startup or thought process increase exponentially. The industry-academia collaboration will bring some productive changes in both the sectors. The industry professionals share their expertise and work behavior with students, which gives them a fair understanding of the professional work carried on. Similarly, internships done by the students will help them to understand the workflow and in turn help them to get placed after the final year within the same organization. We believe that today's session will help us to understand where both the sectors stand, reduce the distance of relationship, and open up a forum for collaborative culture. We believe the leaders who are present here today will make a difference in future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Leadership is a capacity to translate vision into reality. And our Vice Chancellor, Reverend Dr. Father Joe Cece, is one such leader who makes dreams come to life. Father Joe Cece joined Christ in 1996 and has been instrumental in building up in the institution since then. He played an instrumental role in establishing Pune Lavasa campus of Christ and overseeing the Delhi NCR campus. Before taking up the role of Vice Chancellor, he also served in various leadership roles such as Pro Vice Chancellor and Director of Student Services, to name a few. He is also an excellent academician. He holds a PhD in history from Pondicherry University and is also a professor of history here at Christ University. He has also authored several books and journal articles. He is also the chief editor of international book project called Encyclopedia of New Populism and Response in the 21st Century, published by Springer. His vision for the university helps students gain proper knowledge, skills, and attitude needed for the contemporary world. It is my honor and privilege to invite Reverend Dr. Father Joe Cece for presidential address.
Respected faculty members, office bearers, and important representatives from corporate world and my dear Christites. This is something new, this is something creative, which is bringing, let me say, lot of meaning to the existence of Christites, the students of Christ University. Maybe I would like to start with congratulating a big team of Center for Placement and Career Guidance for their marvelous planning of this program, the Corporate Conclave. I think it almost took 5 to 6 months of deliberations, which resulted in this beautiful organizing of this Corporate Conclave. Congratulations to the big team. I'm very delighted that large number of students were participating in placement activities, but from the beginning of last year, we had a very different setup coming up with committees of students coordinating all the activities of Center for Placement and Career Guidance, which brought in a lot of meaningful, let's say, results and meaningful experience of getting trained for placements and other corporate activities. A big thank you to Dr. Johnny Joseph and the entire team, Brigadier Jagadish, and also the large number of faculty representatives who are coordinating from departments and student committee members for Center for Placement and Career Guidance. A big round of applause. I would like to start with speaking about the significance of this corporate connect, which is very important for a university like ours. You know that corporate and academia are interconnected and play essential roles in knowledge dissemination and also its practical aspect. Corporate world supports academia by providing resources, sponsoring projects, and offering internships and mentorship to students. And our student community is delighted. They went all over India and different parts of the world for internships and had wonderful interaction and learning experience from the corporate world. Academia also is nurturing talent and fosters innovation while addressing the corporate challenges. Collaboration between corporate and academia spans knowledge creation, innovation, and human capital formation. It leads to exceptional progress and benefits society beyond economic gains. Coordination, dialogues, partnerships, and ongoing commitment are crucial for successful collaborations. Academia need to align curricula with critical future workforce skills. Just to look at the World Economic Forum, which has identified critical skills for future workforce, including problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. And we are delighted to say that in Christ University, in all our 6 campuses, 4 in Bangalore and 1 in Delhi NCR and Pune Lavasa, we are given such opportunities for students, different varieties of platforms to bring out themselves with the different types of skills that is mentioned in World Economic Forum. Corporates also can provide internships, opportunities and upskilling programs for adaptable workforce. It is also very important to look at what is that we gained through our collaboration with partnerships with industry or corporate. Looking at just some of you are senior students, the internships, how when you interacted with the corporate world, how you gained practical skills and knowledge through your presence in the corporate world. Knowledge also transferred accelerates innovation and economic growth. I am also interested to look at how collaboration identifies and addresses real world problems. Let me look at the outcomes and the power of partnership, giving you some examples of what happened in different parts of the world. For example, MIT and IBM came together and contributed or partnered for quantum computing, blockchain, and machine learning research projects. Stanford University and Google came together and partnered on research projects such as self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, and renewable energy. Carnegie Mellon University and Microsoft came together and brought in machine learning, natural language processing, and computer vision. These are some examples just to bring to your understanding that it is time for us to rethink about the partnership. In India, this kind of high level and deep level partnership is missing, which is a requirement. And we are very glad to say in Christ University we have taken up such steps to go for such kind of deep level partnerships, bringing more results. In our Faculty of Engineering, in School of Business and Management, such partnerships are all happening. Since the corporate world is here, I would like to request all of you to look into, even our academic leadership in Christ University, to look into how we can build a strong partnership like what other universities in other parts of the world is doing. And that is a requirement for India. That is a requirement for a future world with a strong partnership, with a maximum of results coming out through that partnership. I am 100% sure that the collaboration will propel quality in higher education, as a result, better impact in the economy and society at large. Christ University, I would like to say again, it is fully committed to fostering strong connections with corporate partners. This commitment has dramatically enriched our educational experience. Through the collaborations, our students gained practical insights, real-world skills that complement their academic knowledge. Our faculty members have benefited from corporate wisdom, resulting in more relevant and impactful research. This commitment of Christ University equips our graduates to excel in a dynamic corporate world. The numerous successful partnerships and collaborations underscore our dedication to this essential aspect of education. The collaboration between corporates and academia is an indispensable force that propels higher education papers toward real-world impact. It strengthens research, enriches students' learning experiences, fosters knowledge exchange, and paves the way for groundbreaking discoveries. Let's go for that kind of strong partnerships. I would like to request all of you to recognize the profound implications of collaboration between corporate and academia. Together, we hold the key to a brighter future, a workforce equipped for success, and an innovation ecosystem that benefits all of us. Let's embrace this partnership with unwavering commitment, for it is through our collective efforts that we shall chart a course towards a more prosperous and progressive tomorrow. Thank you all and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Father. Our next speaker is a luminary in the corporate world, a visionary leader whose insights have shaped industries. A highly result-oriented HR professional with over 35 years of experience, Dr. C. Jayakumar has made an immense contribution in the human resources arena over the years. He presides on the boards of esteemed professional bodies and in the board of studies of various prestigious educational institutions such as AHRD, AIMA, CII, National Committee on Leadership in HR, NHRDN, SP Jain, etc. Under C. Jayakumar's leadership, Larsen & Toubro has been recognized as India's best employers among Nation Builders 2023 by Great Place to Work, and India and Most Preferred Workplace 2023-24 by Team Marksman in association with India Today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. C. Jayakumar, Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer of Larsen & Toubro, to share his profound wisdom and experience with us with a warm and enthusiastic applause.
Good morning. Respected Professor Dr. Father Joseph C.C., Professor Johnny Joseph, Brigadier Jagdish, Ms. Merlin, other professors, HR professionals, students, Christ aides. Good morning. The energy level is low at the early morning. Good morning. Yeah. In fact, yesterday I was getting ready. I went to office. From there, I thought let me check the agenda. Saw the agenda, got bit confused. Keynote address by Dr. C. Jayakumar, Executive Vice President, 10:15 to 10:20 a.m. I thought 5 minutes. Arey Babre, what is this? All the way from Bombay was coming here. 5 minutes. Then I didn't want to ask directly. Slowly I called Merlin. What is the program tomorrow? Which is the hall? How much minutes? Then she said it's 20 minutes. Then again I looked at the agenda. The timing was above and I read it below. Happy to be here to broadly I will touch upon some of the emerging trends in HR and some of the skills which is required being an HR conclave. I work for a company called Larsen and Toubro. We are called as builders to the nation. Most of you know us. If we have dug up the entire roads in Bangalore, across Bangalore, we do bridges, we do metros, we do dams, bridges, airports, including Bangalore International Airport, Delhi International Airport. Most of the airports are constructed by us, metros are constructed by us. We are predominantly into infrastructure, high-tech manufacturing, including we played a role in Chandrayaan. So we are into defense, we are into other services, IT, etc. We make things that make India proud. That's the purpose for which we all work for. Very briefly about L&T, last year revenue was around 1.83 lakh crores. PBIT was around 10,000 crores, and then our order backlog is around 4 lakh crores. Throughout L&T, we may have around 2 lakh employees. In the Larsen & Toubro construction manufacturing, we have around 59,000-60,000 employees, and other IT, etc., we have around 2 lakh employees. We are proud to do the tallest, deepest, largest, fastest projects in the world. A couple of them to quickly tell. The Statue of Unity at Gujarat is constructed by us. It's 182 meter tall from the foot. How many of you have visited this? Couple of them. Amazing thing to watch. This is the Montreal Cricket Stadium, which is the biggest stadium today in the world. Even Melbourne was the biggest earlier. It had 80,000 seating capacity. Now this has more than 120,000 seating capacity, biggest stadium. The longest corridor, lot of metros, etc. Just to give a feel. Today it's a VUCA world. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And we have been talking about VUCA long back, but after the COVID, we really got a feel what is uncertainty. One fine day, I was there in our office at Mumbai, Landmark, discussing something. Generally, the TV with the news channel keeps running. Suddenly, I saw India under lockdown. We never heard of something like that. We only studied in Industrial Dispute Act, lockdown and strike and the conditions for that, and the whole country under lockdown. When they said everything will be closed, you cannot come out, we couldn't even imagine. That was the sudden thing. Anyway, we recouped from that, we moved ahead. So a lot of uncertainties. One is the technology disruption. Whole lot of, the latest is the ChatGPT. How many are using ChatGPT? Wonderful. But still, couple of hands I'm not seeing. Just download an app called ChatGPT and it will do all your work. Everything, including your homework, assignments, project reports, everything. Wonderful. Next is different ways of disruption, even technology in terms of the hardcore brick and mortar industry also technology is disrupting. Next is the geopolitical tension across India, US and China, supply chain disruptions, inflation, oil prices, different at a global, and ESG is becoming another area of focus across the world. But it's not a gloomy picture. The good thing is India is booming. 5 trillion economy by 2026, 2027. Each state talking about 1 trillion economy. Whole lot of things like Make in India program, Atmanirbhar Bharat, whole lot of investment in defense, huge investment in infrastructure. If I say our order backlog is 4 lakh crores, our strike rate may be around 20-25% in a tender. It's a L1 tender. You quote a tender and the lowest person gets the job. So if my 20% order backlog is there are equal number of jobs available with other companies. So huge opportunities. Plus our demographic dividend today, we are well poised, more than 50-60% of the working population. And so I'll tell you, students here, you are at the right place, at the right time, at the right part of your career. The next 10-20 years will be amazing. You will see different things in the world, and especially in India. So there's a very simple question. Companies that view disruption as an opportunity rather than threat are more likely to succeed. True or false? How many say true? Very good. How many say false? The answer is both true and false. The companies which thinks as a opportunity, they say it's opportunity as well as threat. Those companies will survive faster, because once you look at it as an opportunity, you will do strategic plan, perspective plan, resource mobilization. You take your own time to do everything very cool, comfortable, because it's a big opportunity. By the time your competitor will complete this and go. If you look at it as a threat, you'll be in a hurry, quick, fast, get things done, form a team, form a committee, mobilize resources, start acting, on the go, let us plan, course correction. So the companies which looks, because that is the pace in which change is happening. I think I shared last time, it took more than 60 years for our aircraft to get 50 billion customers. The latest Pokemon Go got within 9 days or something. So that is the pace in which things are happening. So the successful companies look at disruption as both as a threat as well as an opportunity. Predominantly today, the HR, though it's a HR conclave, HR has to be aligned with business. As a business, we are here to make shareholder value, make some profits in an ethical manner, preserving the planet for the future generations in a very, very nice manner. So you have to be aligned with the business. If you have to align with the business, there are 3-4 areas. One is cost, time, and how do you add value to your customer. Especially in a business like construction, time is the essence of contract. Just a delay in 6 months will pull your job into red. So how do you get the job done within the prescribed cost, within the time frame, as well as add value? The levers you have is manpower, material, design, etc., effective project management, collaboration with that. So one side there is a disruption, other side you have to add value to the customer, and the entire focus, so it is a nail-biting finish. So the whole focus of the organization is how do I cut cost, how do I improve my revenue, how do I maintain the productivity of the employees. I may do the various things, I may bring in technology, I may bring in training, I may bring in more automation, I may bring in robotics, whatever it is, I do that. How do I maintain my cash flow, keep working capital low, as well as keep my employees engaged, motivated, so that they perform better and better? How do you attract, retain, and motivate? Along with the disruption, another thing is happening is now people want flexibility, work from home. All those factors also to be managed based on your industry and your thing. So finally, the whole business is how do you keep a happy customer? Yesterday, somebody was talking to me. I was about my CEO and chairman and managing director, Mr. S.N. Subramaniam. I told him, we may arrange such a big function. I would have called some staff, everybody, and he will say, yes, I'll come for inaugurating. But the previous day and night, if a customer calls, that's the priority. He will say, I'll address if possible through VC, or I'll come in the evening, or I'll come next day, but that customer call is attended. So customer is the first. That's the bread and butter. So technology adoption and digitalization is one of the biggest challenges today, as well as an opportunity, even in construction. So various digital technologies are used. I don't want to go much into details of that. Very simply, I'll tell you two examples. You saw the Statue of Unity, 182 meter tall. It's with brass cladding, and it's more than 3 lakh cladding is fixed. 3 lakh cladding, it will be a big store, right? You have to store it in a huge place. At that height, at particular place, what cladding has to go is to be correct cladding, right? Even a small zigzag puzzle, we find it so difficult to put and fix it. So that particular cladding has to go to a particular place at that height. Again, technology. Each part is fitted with an RFID. When they want that, when they see exactly, they know which place it is there and which place it is to be fixed. It makes the life simple. In a project sites, we have across. There may be in Bangalore, there may be somewhere in Bellary, somewhere in Jaipur, somewhere in Rajasthan. We have a whole lot of machinery. The entire machinery is fixed with RFIDs and sensors. So at one point from Chennai, we know the equipment utilization, the fuel efficiency, the productivity, which machinery is idle, which machinery can be shifted. So technology plays a major role in terms of, even in a brick and mortar industry like construction. Even in HR, whole lot of digitalization has taken place, including use of AI and ML, right from shortlisting of resumes, stack ranking of resumes, matching it with JD, parsing for employees. In learning, whole lot of things is happening in terms of, it does better than Netflix. You do a course, then looks at your proficiency level, looks at your interest, then it suggests what is the next course you have to take. So digitalization is creating whole lot of impact in terms of, we have stalwarts here. Augustus, my friend, is here from IBM. They have the robotic process automation, which is the top class, which it does, Watson and other things. I think he may be sharing in his panel discussion. So business needs to embrace technology and automation. HR has to facilitate. So the challenge is how to get talent, how to get technology, how to integrate, how to motivate them, and how to get things done. So some of the changing trends, I'll not take much time, quickly I'll go. One is the first and foremost is the need for agility and adaptability, because things are changing at such a pace. So what brought you here will not get you there. Same way what made you successful in the business till yesterday may not keep you successful in the future. So you have to keep changing according to the trends. There are a couple of levers based on your strategy. Your structure is there, whether it should be geography-wise, it is function-wise, it is business-wise or customer-wise. Where do you have your office? Whether you have it in Chennai, Bangalore, near the customer or near where your raw material is there. So the structure, based on the structure, the processes, based on the processes, reward, recognition for those people, and the HR policies, practices. So you shift these levers in line with the business requirement, business, the changing environment. There's a saying by Jack Welch, if the rate of change external is more than the rate of change inside, then the end is near. So you have to keep pace with the change, what is happening in the external environment. Next is demand for flexibility. Flexibility means different meaning for different people. Somebody doesn't want to work also, sit at home, salary should become, that is flexibility. Somebody wants to work 3 days in a week. Somebody wants fully from home. Somebody says, I will do whatever part-time working I wanted to do, gig working. So how do you manage these expectations among these employees, and how do you imagine an industry like building roads, bridges and metros? How can I do work from home? I cannot build a bridge from sitting at home. So we need to manage, we have to motivate people with different other EVPs to attract, retain and get the talent. Next is employee experience gets redefined. It's right from your career portal till the final settlement, the experience counts. Today, people use Swiggy, Ola, Uber, right? And that is the book, whether it is red bus, or my daughter books the ticket 2 seconds and then she says, I cancelled, I'm changing the bus. It's all in the fingertips today. So the employees also feel they need, you cannot ask them to go and punch your attendance and then come back here. So they also require, so every experience counts at every touch point, right from performance management, including feedback and goal setting, training, everywhere this counts. Next is, I talked of experience, renewed focus on employee well-being. Earlier, yes, it was, all along well-being was important, but after the COVID, it took a different turn. People are more worried about what is my health insurance, what is my medical benefit, and even mental wellness, all took, it is now the total compensation. It is not particular, it includes the whole gamut of this. Whole lot of focus is happening today in terms of well-being, whether it is physical, emotional. We have online counseling, we have medical centers across, we encourage people for marathon, we have an L&T marathon twice a year. So different things are brought inside to ensure that the health and well-being of the people are taken care of. Then challenging work opportunities. Earlier, I worked for L&T, I joined in 88. Last 35 years I am working with L&T. I joined and grew up in the organization, and today I am the CHRO for the group. My son hardly had 7 or 8 years of experience, already 3 companies over. By the way, he is from Christ University. And he says, Daddy, don't go and tell anywhere that you are working for 35 years. People will think you are not getting a job, that's why you are there. So that is today's generation. They want challenging work. When I take an MBA, within 1 year, he comes and tells, I want some new assignment. I asked, what you do? I've been in recruitment. I was there in training for some time. I also, compensation, I was there. What is there in HR yet? Recruitment, compensation, training, employee well-being. Within 1 year, he says, I've seen everything, give me something new. So that is the impatience level to get challenging assignments. So we provide a lot of challenging assignments because we do, as I said, we are builders to the nation. We make things that make India proud, the biggest airport, etc. So people get a sense of satisfaction of doing a thing, and it is visible. Even yesterday when I got down from the car in Mumbai airport, when you see the big structure which is constructed by us, it gives a sense of happiness. So people want challenging assignment, different assignment, where every year they see, have I added value, something to my CV? What I was there last year, what I am this year? Have I learned any new skills? Have I learned anything? Whether my competency has gone up? So they look at it. So you need to keep shifting people from different assignments so that they learn in the process. Next is learning opportunities, which is very much in demand, and the youngsters today want and the things are also changing. It is a mutual interest for the organization as well as the employees. We have more than 18 training centers. Leadership Development Academy at Lonavala, we have one training center here in Mysore, we have one at Madin. We have our own project management institute where we have a dean, assistant dean, professors, etc. Whole lot of digital learning, whether you name Coursera, whether Skillsoft or Percipio, the entire digital learning is available, including EBSCO, ProQuest, etc. is available. So providing learning opportunities and challenging work assignment is a must. Otherwise, people will leave, they will look for greener pastures, they look for where they get a job. At the outside, it looks like they left for compensation. When I look at my attrition, compensation comes fourth or fifth. So people need engaging work, need experience, need challenging assignments, learning opportunities. And another area is diversity, equity and inclusion is becoming paramount important for the organization. One is their own interests, 50% in terms of gender. In terms of other diversity, we have we have more than 40 nationalities working with us, more than 50, 60 languages spoken. Every part of the country, people are there. 5 generations of people working, right from 19-year-old till 67-year-old are working with us. So different generational diversity. Gender, we are trying to improve because being predominantly a project-based, it is less, but earlier it was hardly 4-5%. We have moved to 9% today and we have a target of around 15%. We are going at last 2 batches, last 2 years of campus, our recruitment 30% was female. So we constantly increasing at the grassroots level to take them up. A nice statement I saw in the LinkedIn, I liked it, so I put it here. Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice, and belonging is having that voice to be heard. So diversity, equity and inclusion, nice definition of then ESG is environment, sustainability is and governance becoming another very, very important aspect and it is becoming a statutory requirement. There's a official reporting like your financial reporting, it has to be done. We do a lot of things in terms of reuse, recycle, water conservation, electricity conservation, use of renewable energy. Different areas is looked at into ESG. And I'll have a quick quiz. You can scan this. I have talked about agility, adaptability, flexibility, employee experience, employee well-being, learning opportunity, and challenging work. According to you, what is important? Can you rank this in an order of importance? Fine. What do you think is the most important thing? First, just raise your hands. How many say agility and adaptability is important? Yeah, mostly, almost everything is important, but if it would have been in a ranked, it would have given a better feeling. Yeah, I will pass. I will quickly touch upon some of the future skills are required, but in Professor's introductory remarks, he made a presentation in that he talked about the World Economic Forum's important skills. This almost it gets covered. First and foremost, according to me, the future skills is, one is adaptability and flexibility, how you can adjust to a changing environment, how you can change your structure, process, etc. How can you adapt with the different generations of people. Next, emotional intelligence becomes very, very important. How are you dealing with people, how you get things done, how you look at things, that is the next. Creativity, use of right brain and left brain becomes another area of important skill. And another thing is learning agility and digital mindset as becoming a very, very important aspect today, because the things are changing in such a speed that how can you look at learn new skills. Last week there was a HR Conclave in Chennai conducted by Employer Federation of India. There they invited Mr. Prasanna from that IIM Tirchi. He was making a speech. He was talking about earlier if I do an MBA, it was lifelong education. I did an MBA from IIM, then I joined an organization, I start working. And he says today, he says his Other than the fundamental base concept, the shelf life is hardly 2 years, 2 to 3 years. So he says he has to continuously keep upgrading the skills. So learning agility becomes one of the very, very important skill today. And then critical thinking. People management is the foremost. Interpersonal effectiveness, how do I deal with my colleagues, deal with my subordinates, deal with my peers becomes very, very important when you are in an organization. That you, when you move up the ladder, the whole lot of your technical skills is required, but the more of the people management skills are required. Tomorrow if two people are there to become the CEO, and if they have to select one person out of that, one is highly technically competent, but little less in people management. One is highly capable in people handling, slightly less in technical skills. I am sure the person who has the people skills will be chosen out of the two. So when you are at the people skills requires at every point of time moving up in the organization, it is first is understanding self and how do you deal with others and how do you manage others. This is what Professor has presented during his speech, the 10 top skills by World Economic Forum. Almost what we discussed was also there: analytics skill, creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, motivation and self-awareness, which is again emotional intelligence, curiosity, technology, dependability. So these are some of the skills which is required for the future. I'll skip this. So to conclude, we talked about some of the changing trends and some of the new skills required. Change is the only thing that is constant. So that's why I said learning agility and digital mindset becomes a very, very important aspect for future. Thank you very much for a very, very patient listening. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. I'm Lekha. I checked your profile yesterday on LinkedIn, and you're truly a very inspiring figure, sir, for me, because HR is something that really inspires me. So recently you finished organizational leadership in London School Business, right? So what was the most intriguing thing about that, and what was the learning that you got from that London Business School that you can share with us?
It's a big area, but really it was a wonderful experience being a part of that London Business School Senior Executive Program. It's more of an experiential learning. It's not just a theory concept, but I was the only person from India there. 49 people were there, all from different other countries, different nationalities. All are at a CEO, CFO, CXO level. So the cross learning itself was a great experience talking to them. And if one takeaway was, there was a professor called Alan Scott. He has written a book called 100-Year Life. So the simple to put it is, earlier the average age of Indian was at long time back, it was 59, 60, 65, 70. Today it is around somewhere 75. And in the European countries it is 85 to 90. He says with the health, insurance, everything today available, technology, medical advancement, easily people will live 100 years. You people will definitely live 100 years, your children may live 110 years also. So if 58 years is your retirement age, earlier it was education, career, retirement. Now he says education, career, second career, third career comes. So continuously you have to learn. After that, what I do, because if you live for 100 years, if it's 58, if you retire and if you don't have a job, then it's a big problem. Otherwise, you have to save till 58 years, keep a lot of corpus to take care of our insurance, health, etc. Otherwise, you have to be fit, keep working, enjoy life till 100 years. Thank you.
So one more question. What is the importance of culture at a workplace? And in L&T, you worked for more than 35 plus years, and that's really great, sir. But how do you inculcate culture in L&T, and what is the change you've brought in L&T?
Good question. including our, it's not just in the vision statement, we have a culture of caring, trust and continuous learning. People stay with the organization because of that. Culture is very, very, very important. It is hats off to the saying, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. It is really, really true. You may plan everything, you can have a wonderful strategic plan, etc. If the culture of the organization is not okay, it will not succeed. It is not built over a day. It's in various ways, whether from the leadership, walking the talk, how decisions are made, how meetings are conducted, everything shows the culture of the organization. It's very, very important. We ensure that it is done through various ways, right from the long induction, leadership things, open town halls, seniors visiting project sites. Then we also have a OD process called organization development. It is to put the L&T culture into place, to make the real L&Tite, where we do a lot of initiatives to ensure we sustain our culture. Because the organization is growing, today we may have 20,000 people or 50,000 people, there may be 10-15% attrition, and you'll be growing and you'll be recruiting every year 15-20%. Within 4 years, the whole crowd is different. How do you sustain the culture? So that's where it is very, very important to do that. Thank you. Thanks for the patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful speech. Your words were truly inspirational. I request you to remain on stage kindly. To show our gratitude and appreciation, it is my pleasure to invite our Vice Chancellor, Reverend Dr. Father Joe CC, to felicitate our keynote speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Father. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be mesmerized by a dance performance that will transport you to a world of wonder and beauty. The university cultural team has prepared 2 breathtaking showcases that promises to captivate your hearts and souls. Let's welcome with a huge round of applause our university team.
दुनिया में लोगों को धोखा
Thank you for those beautiful performances. We now welcome to stage Ms. Anamika V. from Christ Consultancy to introduce the Center for Consultancy at Christ University.
Very good morning to you all. So from very energetic Monica, oh my darling, it switched over to Anamika from Christ Consulting. And I'm going to show you that it's going to be very short. What I'm going to talk about today is building this bridge between academia and corporates. So respected dignitaries, corporate leaders, my dear students, here's a very short presentation on what we do at Christ Consulting. So essentially, the objective is to build this bridge in order to harness the collective expertise that we have. And as you can see, the Christ ecosystem is really huge. Many a time visitors don't know that there are almost 34,000 students in the entire ecosystem, which is spread over 6 campuses, 4 in Bangalore, 1 in Delhi NCR, and 1 in Lavasa. And this whole ecosystem is powered by almost 1,300 faculty and many more staff members. So the idea is to harness these offerings and solve real-life problems that corporates and organizations might be facing. Since it's a very diverse set of offerings that we have, almost 32 plus specialisms, so we've roughly broken it down into 4 clusters. And the 4 pillars of consulting, as you can see, range from core consulting services, which are, offering solutions to real-life problems, starting from scratch and building those models and paradigms. The second cluster is about quintessential organizational training and development, and I'm very pleased to say that we get repeat business in this field. We're able to cater to shop floor, factory level, straight to the boardroom with various proficiencies and skill building sessions that are needed within this. The third cluster is of mandated research. So there are many questions that corporates are seeking answers to, and they come to us because of the precision and rigor that we can bring. Those questions could be regarding market entry strategies, consumer attitudes and mindsets, to various other very intrinsic issues that they might want to investigate. So that's the third cluster of research. And the fourth cluster is the government and the public sector organizations that we pitch for. Those projects are fairly large, so since we have the capability across specialisms, we're able to cater to them. And this is the model that we stand by, which is the prime model, precision and rigor, and that is the reason why corporates prefer to partner with universities, because we don't do templates, we create things organically and authentically. And innovation is our cornerstone. And multidisciplinary, that's a unique differentiator from other consulting organizations. We do have so many specialisms, So cross-functional teams are able to ply in this space. And excellence, which is the cornerstone of Christ University. So this is the entire bandwidth, and we have specialists from each of these specialisms, and also some centers which are like centers of digital innovation, CSA. All those centers also feed into this ecosystem of delivering consulting projects. And these are some of our clients, so we just quickly go through it, and that will be succeeded by a short film that we'll play. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Christ University, for having us here. As you can see, you have folks from right across the industry, top brands, Google, Harman, and of course, Kindle. And we would traverse topics across multiple sectors and bring in our experiences, okay? And this is going to be what I would say, not a output from ChatGPT. We didn't get into it because it's a bit too for ChatGPT, all right? So we are bringing our experiences here, and some of these are also experiments, all right? And experiments can go wrong. And with that, thank you so much, Rajesh, Major Jacob, and Deba. Quickly to set the context here, okay, presuming we all know that the 1.0 was the industry where we were with steam power, and then we moved to electricity, and from electricity we moved to electronics, and then came IoT, cloud and analytics, and that makes us to leapfrog into 5.0. But a quick definition of 5.0 is, what fascinates me is 5.0 is about people. And my job is about people, and that's why 5.0 fascinates me. And the definition for 5.0 very clearly says it's people working alongside robots and smart machines. It's about robots helping humans work faster and better, leveraging IoT, big data, analytics, and so on and so forth, and therefore bringing in the people touch. And what accelerated us from 4.0 to 5.0 was, of course, the pandemic, which brought a shift in the way we are going to be doing business. But if you look at it, we spent only 10 years or a decade in 4.0, whereas we did 90 years between steam to electric, all right? So you see the pace of development from there to here into 5.0. Now, to drive a much more important point on 5.0, to bring to your mind a true story, okay, which encapsulates point. Okay, so this is about an employee called Rukmini, okay? Rukmini has about 15 to 20 years' experience, and she's been working in this fantastic IT MNC, and she is seen as a well-known technical leader, be it blockchain, IoT, cloud, analytics, so on and so forth. And she has been recognized by her organization. She's traveled the world, and she has this technical leadership about her, and very well respected by her team members. But you know what happened is that Rukmini took a break, of course, work from home and the flexibility, and this gave her an opportunity to think whether she's doing the right thing, all right? And one fine day, Rukmini walks up to her manager's office and says, hey, I want to have a chat with you, all right? So the manager, being a very nice guy, ordered a coffee, and both of them were chatting. And then Rukmini says, you know, Mr. Manager, I want to quit. And he's taken aback. But why would you want to quit? Your career is going very well, you have a fantastic trajectory, and you're valued by our organization. She says, no, you know, I did a lot of work. I also did some bit of soul searching, and I found purpose to what I want to do in life. And so what is it? What are you going to do after you quit? Well, I'm going to join this airline company. Or why would you join an airline company? Because I know, Rukmani, that you care about the environment, you care about the air, you care about water, and airlines are the biggest pollutants. So why would you join them? She says, well, because I'm joining them in a particular function that enables the airline company to reduce its carbon footprint. So every line of code that I'm going to be writing here reduces my carbon footprint, and when that happens, it resonates with my value system. And when it resonates with my value system, I feel more engaged. And my dear friends, Industry 5.0 is human-centric, with people at the core. And people create the smart machines. Intelligent people create the smart machines. And 5.0 is also going to be and is values-driven, like you see Rukmani's story. It is values-driven as against 4.0, which was mission-driven. All right? So with that, I'm going to make this more engaging and have Dr. Rajesh share with us some of his experiences, especially around the pillars that build 5.0. Thank you.
Hello, check. Right. Thank you, Augustus. Thanks, everyone. I'm Rajesh. I'm very, very excited to be part of this amazing event. I represent Ernst & Young, which is one of the world's largest consulting firm. It's just always a special feeling to be back at Christ University. I've been visiting this campus for more than a decade now. Now, coming to the, an excited, nervous combination of everything to talk about the Industry 5.0. The concept itself, right? I mean, every time when we go as a panelist or talk about any specific topic, right, it's kind of largely revolves around the emerging technology or what's the key takeaway from an employment standpoint, how exactly they need to upskill and all of that. But this concept of Industry 5.0 is a very, very broad topic. And as we speak, it is still evolving. It's still at a very nascent stage. For us to understand the concept of 5.0, it's very important for us to understand some bit of an history where you will be able to connect the dots. In the last couple of years, right, the industry world has gone through a massive transformation. Transformation from mechanization to electrification to automation to digitization. Now we are embarking into a world where it has got to do with humanization and personalization. Right? Some history about how the industry revolution started. We have to go back way back in 1784, where the first industrial revolution was started, which was kind of marked up with mechanization and steam engines. Then it took about close to 90 years where the whole Industry 2.0, the second revolution started, where it was characterized by the mass production and electrification. Then came way back in 1969, that's where they kind of led to the industrial third revolution, where it was kind of characterized was an era of automation, electronics, and computers, right? In 2011 is where it kind of gave a birth with the advancement in the technology and multiple things coming together. It led a life to Industry 4.0. And if we look back, I mean, from first to the second, it almost took about 90. From second to third, it took about 90 years. From third to fourth, it took about 50 years. But in less than a decade, we are already talking about the fifth industrial revolution. The industrial revolution has still not happened. So revolution would not be an appropriate word to use right now. We would call it as we are talking and we are kind of going through the journey of Industry 5.0. Right? I would like to give you some bit of a comparative analysis for you to kind of relate and what is happening. Augustus did call out about we are bringing the humans at the center, right? So on a day-to-day activities as a layman, if you look at it, any activity which is happening right now where there is a human intervention. And again, if we are introducing the concept of bringing human at the center, what exactly has happened and why are we emphasizing on this? Now, in the Industry 4.0, here is where I want all of you to pay attention. Majority of the manufacturing industry took a shift and started to shift into and adopted digitization, which kind of gave an advent of automated manufacturing. What it means is the robots played a very pivotal role in terms of assembly lines to ensure that there is a productivity, there is an efficiency, and a new product was built. Right? While this was happening, the human element was taken away. If you look at, to give you an example of a Toyota, right? I mean, if I'm sure that all of you would have seen that video, that in the factory where there is whole bunch of machines which kind of do the assembly of a car and eventually which is out, right? Where here what happens is the humans started looking at it and see things happen. Now, to move to the Industry 5.0, how exactly we would bring the human element back when there is a focus on production and efficiency. I would like to touch upon two instances, right, which would kind of narrow down to the Industry 5.0. Here is a first story where a person who invented refrigeration, right, made some amount of money. But the most of the money was made by a Coca-Cola company, which made use of refrigeration and built an empire around it. If I wanted to view in a similar context, for us, we as an end user, we have a plethora of advanced technology and we have the human capability. Here is an opportunity for us to build an empire by making use of the technology and the human capabilities. I would refer the refrigeration as the advanced technologies and the human capabilities. The second part to the word which August is mentioned about, and very apt story and an example of the value system, right? In the current world, we are living in a world, there is one word which emphasizes as an individual or as an organization, focus on progress and profitability. Now, there is a completely second word, which is more like a philanthropical word, where the focus is on purpose and inclusivity. Now, imagine a word where both word 1 and word 2 come together. If we establish a synergy between the word 1 and 2 with the profitability, with purpose, with progress to inclusivity, that's where the whole evolution of Industry 5.0 would happen. So what kind of really excites me about Industry 5.0 is it kind of bridges the gap between humans and technology. So with that, I would take a pause. I would like to go slightly deeper in the next slide of it. I will pass it on to August.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. And Rajesh works for EY, and EY has done a lot of work in this space, and I've had the opportunity of reading through some of the white papers that they were published. So, that is a resource site for you to look at some knowledge material out there. And with that, Major Jacob here. Jacob, I know you from my IBM days, so it's good to, and I have a lot of friends out here in the audience, so hi to all of you. Jacob, you've also been in the army, okay? And you let us know, being a people-driven person, how do you perceive 5.0, and embracing 5.0 could be easy for some organizations. There's also a downside. So you may want to bring up the downside to it first, and then take us on to what was the positives of it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to, can you all hear me? Yeah. So thank you to Christ University for having me here. I think when I heard this topic, Industry 5.0, it was like a blank slate in front of me, because it's still evolving as a subject. Whatever Rajesh mentioned about the Industry 5.0, I completely agree with him. It has journeyed from 1.0 to 5.0, and he also mentioned about the speed at which the industry revolution is revolutionizing itself. It just took about 10 years to reach 5.0. I'm not talking about what is Industry 5.0. Rajesh touched upon it and Augie touched upon it. You all know that the basic definition of Industry 5.0 is cobots or robots will start working, collaborating with humans. Is that definition, we all agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Please carry on.
Right? So if that's the definition, I'm not going to touch upon the positives side of it, but then if that's the definition, AI is going to engineer, or all the latest technologies of AI, ML, deep learning, you also have IoTs and cyber and whole lot of technologies. They are aimed at making robots almost think, act like humans, right? If that is going to be the reality, and a human is going to also work with the robots in the future, then how is the human-centric part of the entire 5.0 going to work unless it is going to be a responsible industry 5.0? And the reason that I say this is because of a few readings that I've been doing in the past as well. In 1984, we had a movie called Terminator, and that's my favorite topic. And James Cameron just made a statement a month ago or 2 months ago, said, I told you in 1984, right? Then Elon Musk said that summoning the AI is actually calling the demon, right? Stephen Hawking also said something about the similar lines. Then Noah Harari, he's a futurist, a Hebrew University lecturer, he predicts, and he said, robots are going to look at kind of creating, like Industrial Revolution created working class, maybe robots may create a class, unworking class. These are futuristic thoughts because we are talking about 5.0 as a future. Then Ray Kurzweil says that, by 2045, a lot of things that we do, robots can take over, right? So unless and until we decide as business, as entrepreneurs, as organizations, as a government, what's that thin red line where robots should stop and humans should start, or should robots kind of overtake everything? And then we have Sophia as a great example. She's a citizen of Saudi Arabia. So you have a citizenry problem when you have so many robots coming into the workforce, right? So I'm not pessimistic. I'm very optimistic because technology has transformed, but I'm cautious when I say Industry 5.0 is humans working with robots, and robots, one part of the industry is moving so fast that it wants to bring AI and EI in that one robot, right? So I would like to tread with a kind of caution on Industry 5.0. If it is for the good of mankind, right, like sustainability, like human-centric solutions, like the green environment, saving the planet, and speed of bringing the products to people, fair. But if it is kind of creating another, issues that these futuristics have mentioned, then I would like to call it, we need something called a responsible, emerging technology-driven, Industry 5.0. And we also have organizations like Stop the Killer Robot. UN is working on the same thing. We also had certain, agitations around people because of change. I'm not saying I'm averse to change, but we need to look at something which is quite responsible in the entire scheme of 5.0.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jacob. Please give it to him. Thank you. And while I was listening to you, yes, gives me a very rich way into the legal framework, okay? And Devanshu's from Google, and he spent many years. And my thoughts typically are, what is the regulatory framework around this? And how do we control, any misuse? And do we have controls in terms of the ethical uses of data? Devanshu.
First of all, thank you very much for having me here, inviting me. It takes me back 20 years coming to this organization previously, as a student, of course. I was a student of Sapna ma'am sitting around here.
Wow, can we hear it for him?
So it's a journey, and I really cherish it. And I'm so happy that I've come here to share my thoughts with some of the brilliant minds sitting here. That's an opportunity. Coming to the topic, before I step into the topic, I think let me give a brief introduction of myself and the industry I operate, and then I will move on to 5.0 introduction from a legal standpoint, and then move to that point. I moved organizations. I moved from IT to right now in Google. I look at technology space. I'm part of the GPay team there, the Google Pay team there, and my core responsibility is to ensure what exactly Jacob was mentioning right now, responsible to ensure that the products that are launched as on today's date in the financial sector caters to the need, first of all, the need of the users, and secondly is to take care of the safety and security of the data as well as the funds of the user. So that's why I agree with Jacob to say that it's a responsibility on all of us as professionals, as students, as we get into the professional field to ensure that we are making 5.0 as a responsible 5.0. Coming to the topic 5.0, I think enough has been said in terms of what does this mean and what does it entail, how does it impact, and the journey. I frankly don't have much of experience on that front, so I'll try to put in a legal layer, and I'm sure it will give you some amount of thought to you to put it in other sectors as well. If you look at Industry 5.0, what we have understood, it's human-centric, resiliency, sustainability is the main focus. And that's been the center stone or the bedrock of 5.0 and the emerging technologies that lay to it. If you look at the legal framework as well, there is a huge correlation with the legal framework that it operates as on today's date. And let me shed some light with some sectoral examples here. If you look at the innovations in the 5.0 like IoT or artificial intelligence, what it does, essentially it collects, aggregates large chunk of data and feeds into AI systems and machine learning systems. This came out maybe somewhere around what Rajesh had said some years back, but eventually if you look at it, these standards or data collection operations of technologies has been used for some time. If you look at the UPI as a payment method that has been used going on from 2015, there is a large amount of data processing that happens, collection that happens. Large conglomerates collects this data, processes it, and ensures a payments transaction is for. Soon after these technologies come, the regulations follow at the same time. The NPCI came up with their multiple regulations in terms of how this data has to be processed, how this data has to be collected. So there is, I see a strong correlation, and why this between NPCI regulations and the legal framework with the technologies is because the bedrock of all these technologies, be it the privacy sector, which we're talking about, is ensuring that the customer's data is always protected. The technology used in a rightful way, in a more understood, seamless way. If you look at other examples from my sector itself, right from maybe e-commerce, to 2015 onwards, we had the Amazons of the world coming into, Flipkarts of the world coming into and coming up with technologies to offer a seamless marketplace experience. What after? Soon after that, 2015, 14, the Press Note 2 came, Press Note 3 came right after in 2019, and now we have the e-commerce guidelines. So if you look at it, there is a pattern which Industry 5.0, the emerging technologies versus the law, always trying to keep pace with it and ensuring that the human centricity element which was spoken about or just dealt about in terms of protecting their needs, protecting their data, protecting their way of experiences in terms of technology is always protected. So there are various commonalities if you see in terms of the legal framework and the newer technologies that has been coming over the years. But 5.0, as you know, it brings tremendous amount of risk, like we say. Like every innovation, we love innovations, it helps us, but it brings a whole bucket of risk. For example, if you look at it, information security, you have AI data, but you have information security risk, you have data theft, you have financial frauds that's happening. In the AI technology, in the technologies, in the marketing space, there is dark patterns which has come up in terms of how advertisement works. Quick anecdote, if you recall, maybe last evening or previously you must have surfed on some website, liked some product and you left it there, you see that naturally the next day onwards you keep getting messages or pop-ups on various other sites in terms of that particular product or similar product. That's pure technology, and that is where I think various regulations from an advertising standpoint, also newer guidelines have been coming to ensure that users are protected, users' data is handled in a more ethical way and in a way which is sustainable and for the user's experience. So in conclusion, there is emerging technologies and all of this is a huge area for all of us, opportunity for us. But I think all I want to leave the students and some of my colleagues, the thought that are we responsible enough to handle that with care? Are we doing our part to balance the risk and the rewards that technology brings on the table?
Thanks so much, Debangshu. Bang on in terms of the legal framework. Thank you so much. And to me, not to sound flippant, is probably a few years now when I start flying, when we're all flying, right? There could be an announcement that says, you're now traveling 30,000 feet up in the air, and I'm your captain speaking, and today I'm working from home.
Absolutely. Emirates.
Yep. So, exactly. So, technology can be my slave, right? And therefore, what are the skills that I need to be relevant, to be equipped for this present/future? But before I go to you, Rajesh, I want to provoke the audience if there are any questions.
It's a little radical question that I would like to ask. Thanks to also Mr. Kurian for bringing in the perspective. The radical question is more from a thinking perspective. We speak about humans working with robots, and then how much are we also needing to learn on that ecosystem where we will come to work with robots. Now, a few years ago, about 2 decades ago, I was with Toyota, where we were talking about topics like machine, the loss we are talking about, productivity loss, which is human-centric. Factors, we call it a speed loss. Because of the speed loss, there are factors which contributes because of human-specific, I would say blocks that leads us to loss of productivity, and then work deeply into those areas. I'm talking about 2 decades back. But now, at this point in time, we are talking about Industry 5.0. How much of it is that we require to adapt ourselves as humans towards that ecosystem? That's a question that I just want to leave with the audience.
Wow, the moderator can pass.
So you're talking about how you are going to be prepared for working with robots.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
We
are going to be prepared to working with robots. So before that, let me put a caveat. Don't take me wrong that I'm averse to robots, right? As long as robots are about helping us to add value to the assembly line and to take the repetitive tasks and monotonous tasks and make us to think, at a higher level and add value, perfectly fine. Now, how are we going to be ready to work with robots? For that, I think a while ago,
Jaykumar, you're right.
Mr. Jaykumar mentioned about adaptability, right? He meant, so 3 things I would like to leave you all with. One is, the world is changing, and so therefore organizations will change. We will also have to change, right? So therefore today you are going to work with me in my office, but tomorrow you will see not me, but somebody sitting there, Sophia, right? Sitting there. Let's see the future, right? It's 5.0. You never know, next year it will be 6.0. Now, the one is how alert we are as people to see the change happening in the outside world, and based on the change happening in the outside world, how agile we are to adapt to that change, right? Now, I'm very sure organizations will start thinking through these lines to start training people to collaborate with robots. I'm very sure about it. Because if we look at the Maslow's theory of
Hierarchy, theory of hierarchy.
Needs hierarchy, I think we have been playing at the very physiological level, at the safety level, at the love and belonging and the esteem level till now. Now I think that triangle will be overturned to come to self-actualization, because Industry 5.0 is saying human-centric innovations are going to make people think beyond and realize their potential. So that's where HR as an organization and leaderships in the organization will have to now add value to a self-actualization economy to see, or intervention to see how can I bring out my best in people, the best potential, optimum potential, to be ready to even compete with a robot. Now, how I have not been in an organization where robots are working with me, that will be new to us. Are there anyone in this crowd already working with robots? You are there, right? So I'm sure Toyota, if you're working for Toyota, but there the robots are on the assembly line. They've not taken over your jobs. They cannot think today to the extent you can think. But there will be a time, guarantee me, that they will have more of algorithms and analytical minds which may be equal to us, right? So for that matter, we need to transform ourselves. The organization should take responsibility to train people, make them ready to be working closely with a robot who can walk, speak, right? And that is where the focus on the self-actualization part will come in, to make people open up, bring up their highest potential, so that either they overtake the robot or keep the robot under their control. You would be a better person with your experience to answer this question yourself, but I thought I just tried my part.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jacob. And you brought in Maslow's theory of the hierarchical needs so well, and when I thought it wasn't so relevant in today's context. So thank you again so much for that. Rajesh,
so
we were
I would
talking
like
about
to extend one point,
Sure.
which one of our audience would ask, right? If we understand the philosophy and the complete pillars of 5.0, at the top of it, though we would call it as the human-centric, is at the core of everything. The other two pillars are sustainability, and the third part, which you spoke about, which you touched upon, is the resilience. When we say resilience, now in the 4.0 and the 5.0, it's all about every business is a digital business. So as an organization, any company for that matter, they're left with no choice to embrace digital. So while this is happening, it's imperative for the employees or an organization to think on those lines. And this is one of the shortfalls of when we talk about the Industry 5.0, right? I mean, this is a challenge where upskilling, reskilling, ensuring where exactly the monotonous of the robots would end. That's where the creative part, the problem solving, the critical thinking ability would kick in from an individual, which of course, when it's a journey. There was a very interesting debate which is happening in the world of internet when this autonomous vehicle came into picture, right? The organization have built a very sophisticated algorithms where it would ensure that the vehicle would operate on its own. Imagine a situation, an individual walking in a pedestrian where he would walk in, and now the car, the autonomous vehicle, should take a call whether to hit the person, or if it applies a sudden brake, the entire vehicle gets hit and the person who has paid for the vehicle get hit. So that's where this ethical consideration also comes into play, whether we have to look at the other person or have to look at the monetary part of it. A person who has paid it. Now, this is a journey which, as we told, it is just kicked off. There are multiple things which would happen. Maybe it would take a long time for us to design a complete framework. And in the whole thing, it would evolve, where people will realize what is really important and what we need to focus on. To an addition to that, which I would like to touch upon in terms of if somebody wanted to upskill themselves, is there any one or two specific technologies or specific things an individual have to do upskill? The answer is there are too many of it. Now we are living in a world where everything is interconnected. For me to operate anything, right now today, if I'm operating everything to smartphone, the data have to be accessed somewhere. So there is a need of cloud computing. While I'm accessing enormous amount of data, there is a need for cyber security. While I'm doing this, when we ensure at a deeper level, there is a need for blockchain. While we do that, when we are playing with electronics and all of that, there is a need for Internet of Things. While we think that, then there is robot process automation, and the list goes on. So as an individual, the skills which is required is, there are many emerging technologies which is out there, and it's humanly not possible for everybody to learn all of it. At least focus on an area which kind of interests you, which excites you, and focus on that. More importantly, from a resilience standpoint, we have to be, no college or institutes or book teaches about, for any given situation, how do I, come up with a great ability of problem solving or critical thinking. This is something, an innate thing which you have to develop, and also through experience, and we have to learn from each other. That's the beauty of collaboration, coexistence, and kind of augmenting the human capabilities.
Brilliant. Thank you for touching upon skills. And, Jacob brought up that brilliant point, again about collaboration, because in this whole thing, it takes me back to, why do organizations want to bring people back to work? And when they say that, hey, look, I've been productive enough, and in the last 2 years of the lockdown, shutdown, working from home, but suddenly why do you want me here, all right? And one of the reasons, I think, is to accelerate the growth, because not enough people-to-people, face-to-face interaction is happening. And when people-to-people, face-to-face interaction happens, when people are sitting together in a garage, they collaborate, like you said. And what does collaboration do? Collaboration fosters innovation. And that's exactly what undergirds 5.0 with people. And it's not far off before we see the reality of a Mars landing, okay? And, however wacky the thought may be from Elon Musk to have people on Mars, it makes sense. If this planet was to implode, where would we go? And that is the thought that you brought up, Jacob, for us to start thinking, because now you have robots and technology, sorry to use the word slave, but I just think for dramatic effect, I'm using that. With that, I'm going to move away from the audience question to Bangshu.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kurian and team.
Thanks. So Debangshu, taking off from where you left, we have the data protection bill, all right? We spoke about the ethical uses of data and so many other things, all right? So quickly, in about 2 minutes, would you like to share your thoughts around this and the work that is happening?
Sure. I think I'm just continuing from where I left. We all have understood, I think, by now that technology has, or these emerging technologies like AIs, ML methods, has taken a far-fetched role in all of our lives. In every sphere. I don't think so any industry is left, or maybe some of those, left where technology, newer technologies hasn't played a part, be it from medicine to architecture to law. In my field, I feel when I talk to some of my juniors and mentees, I definitely tell them that a lot of roles has now been automated. Like if you review a contract, that's mostly largely been automated. You find out specific clauses, identify the risk there. Most of those are automated. I think we have to upskill ourselves. That is one thing, we have to continue doing it. But what is legally, as a legal framework, the lawmakers have come up with, I think that is quite interesting. As I said, there is always, technology is moving at a very rapid pace, and the legislative frameworks are coming maybe a year or so, or keeping up to the pace to a great extent. But there are technologies which are still unregulated, and there are different perspectives to it. For example, if you look at it, we spoke about DPDP Act, that is Data Protection Act. There is another one, that is IT Act, which is maybe 20 years old, 22 years old. That needs a complete rehaul. Why? Because the definition of intermediary, who is an intermediary, has changed. Previously, there may be one intermediary in the whole ecosystem, but right now there is OTTs that we watch, there is social media platforms that we operate in, there are digital partners or aggregators that operate as an intermediary. So there's lots of areas that needs to get worked on. IT Act is definitely getting a rehaul with the Digital India Act that should come in the winter session in the Parliament. The others are AI as a technology that is also, I think, under the radar of the government. There is a new committee from which METI has, Ministry of Information Technology has set it up to consider regulations for AI. There are numerous small pocket sectors which regulations are coming up. Even in the fintech space, if you look at it, maybe one anecdote could be, one example on real life. I love giving real life examples. So I'll pick one recently which happened to me. I'm a fan of Amazon. I have been using Amazon products for a long time, using their ecosystem because the user-friendly experience is great. But howsoever, I recently moved and did my car insurance to another aggregators. Soon after that, what happened is from next day onwards, I keep getting nudges on other products of that entire company, FDs, wealth management products, or other products, other insurance products of that company. And I really liked that experience. I went ahead and I started doing all of them. So what I'm coming to it is, data has been now the most important factor. So it generates revenue, it generates strategies, it generates the whole goal objectives of that company. So while that is the center point of all our relevance of 5.0 in one way, I would say that technology and the law is equally keeping up pace to ensure that it is protected. I just want to quickly point out that about ethical use of data. Academically, we know ethical use of data talks about transparency, fairness, accountability. I think the question that lies on us right now, and I think we briefly touched upon, there is an equal responsibility on us as along the lawmakers and the legislators to ensure that we responsible in terms of, as a professional at least first, are we responsible in creating products for the ecosystem which are safe, secure, which are ethical, someone used the word. That is first big responsibility. And as students, I would like to leave the message that are we agile? And that's the conversation that came out. Are we agile enough to adopt newer changes and technologies or trends that is picked up? For example, people have started some course 4 years back, they haven't heard about ChatGPT. They're passing out and they're getting hit on the face. They have to counter those technologies as in go day to day. So get built up.
Seems like running out of time, and I want to very quickly conclude and thank the panelists for your time and for your patience in listening to us. Like I said, this evolves, and as you were telling me about so many products that push to you, while I was speaking, HDFC wants to give me a loan, they want to give me a credit card, and somebody wants to sell me a holiday package. And we know here that this is not ethical uses of data. And we need controls. We definitely need a stronger regulatory framework over and beyond political boundaries.
No, I don't think so. It's about ethical use of data. I think where we all lack sometimes is we ununderstandably tick some of those boxes which gives rise to these kind of usage of data. I think as our action item is, we should be very mindful of to understand where are we using the data, how are we sharing the data with others.
Thank you so much, Dibanshu. So with that, is there an audience question? Yes, we'll take one question very quickly.
Hopefully I have got up fast enough to ask my question. I want to ask this question to Major Jacob because I'm a retired Army officer too, so I'm Colonel Sudhir. I want to ask you a quick question. Industrial breakthroughs that you're referring to are happening too fast. Your 5.0 is hardly comprehended by many of us in the audience. I mean, the effect of 5.0, and you're already talking about 6.0. Now, the question is, thankfully I completed my industry experience before these challenging times have even started. So, I mean, I'm very happy about it. Now, the question that I'm trying to ask you is, with the fast-paced industrial breakthroughs which are happening and is going to happen in future, the academia will have a massive challenge of catching up and preparing students and moving them into the industry. Agility, the point that Mr. Das is trying to say is fine, but in an academic environment, more or less, we are sticking to fundamentals and preparing him in a very fundamental way. Therefore, isn't the role of the industry far more important in training students once he joins the industry rather than expecting an industry-ready student? That's my first part of the question.
Yeah. So I think lot of the organizations, the progressive organizations, are already working with the academia to create curriculum which is based on future technologies. Yeah, so that's already happening, right? But when people come into the organization, there are very clear-cut, segmented interventions happening for people wherein they would be specializing in a particular area, whether it's an AI or whatever it is. So those are an ongoing process. Now, the person who is going to be in the center of everything is the individual, the student. And I always am a strong believer of the fact, right from school days to the careers, I own my career. And I think that is something which should be ingrained in every student, where the student or the professional should own his or her career, being aware of what's happening in the industry, aware of one's own interest, and see where he or she has to go. If the student or the professional is going to wait for the organization to say, I'll sit and the organization do something for me, then I don't think that would be the right thing. I mean, in this competitive world.
Much. Thank you, Jacob, for shut off my mic because we're running out of time. Okay, it's working. So thank you. You've been a great audience. You've been restless, you've been curious, and you've been uninhibited when it came to questions. And my dear panelists, I'm sorry that we don't have enough time, but please feel free to stay on, interact, and address any further questions that people may have. We're all available on social media, so we can connect on LinkedIn that you would be familiar with. So once again, Christ University, thank you very much.
We request Dr. Jane Matthew, Dean, School of Business and Management, to grace the stage and felicitate the panelists and the moderator. Our moderator, Mr. Augustus Azaria. Panelists, Dr. Rajesh, US. Major Jacob Kurian. Mr. Debangsu Das. I thank the moderators, panelists, and the Dean, School of Business and Management. In a rapidly evolving world, the bridge between industry and academia has never been more vital. Today, we have an insightful and engaging session lined up for you. A panel discussion that explores the pivotal relationship between two crucial pillars of our society, industry and academia. This session is aptly titled, Industry Academia Connecting the Dots. Our esteemed panelists, each a stalwart in their respective fields, will bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table.
So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Mr. Deepak BV, Director, Talent Acquisition and Mobility, Teva Pharmaceuticals, and distinguished panelists for this illuminating discussion, Mr. Suhadeep Sarkar, Vice President, Corporate Affairs, Cognizant, Ms. Aparna C., Vice President, Human Resources, Akna Medical Private Limited, and Dr. Sapna S., Professor, School of Law, Christ University.
First of all, thank you, Christ University, for giving us this opportunity to debate on a very, very pertinent, yet a topic which has been debated for over 2.5 decades. This is a favorite subject since, I think, 1998, 97, about how industry, academia, relationships need to be and what each one of us need to do. So I have a very, very distinguished panelist, in a panel with each one of them with over 2 decades of experience, with Shubhadeep, Aparna, and Dr. Sapna. Welcome. So we were discussing internally as to how do we run this panel discussion, right? So we thought we will break it down into 4 pillars, because industry, academia, connecting the dots is such a vast subject. We thought we'll give some direction to this and make it as 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is a very cliched topic of student industry readiness. How are the students ready to face the current industry requirements? Second is about the cultural readiness of students. In the last at least 7-8 years, the corporates have moved in a cultural sensitivity index in leaps and bounds. DEI, the new jargons that we have coined, the new practices that we have incorporated within our HR framework. How are the students getting ready for being culturally ready? Third pillar is about innovation readiness. Innovation readiness is how do we start inculcating innovation mindset to the students at the grassroots level. The fourth pillar that we thought, which is very pertinent, would be academic leadership. How do you bring academic leaders, and how can corporate work with academia to develop academic leaders? Also the reverse mentoring. How can academic leaders help corporate to, to come up with leaders who are more research oriented, who are more long-term oriented? So this is how we are going to we have built a framework. Without much ado, let me pull in Shubhadeep. Shubhadeep, share your thoughts on the first pillar of industry readiness, and then we'll move on to the other panel for reviews.
Sure, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, so thank you once again. Now, I'll be very brief, given that we have very limited time, and then people will be also hungry. So, on the first pillar on industry partnership, I think what we have heard from the previous panel was very interesting, and that gives a very good starting point. It's in terms of how technology is evolving and rapidly changing. So that's one of the major factors that we have to keep in mind. In this world, in most of the technology and domain space, the client demands are also changing very rapidly. The third is the skill set that you feel today are so important may be totally irrelevant only after a few years. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is that whatever you are learning, it has to be fast, it has to be very quick, you have to be agile, and you have to be continuous. You cannot say that I've got 20 skill set now, I can run the marathon for 20 years. Not possible. You will find yourself in a place where you have nothing to deliver, and there are some other people going ahead of you. So therefore, from an industry perspective, when industry is partnering with academia, whether it is a mentorship program or coaching program, you can have experts come in and train you, but it is not a one-time training that will really help. It has to be continuous. It has to be focused. So specifically, there is one live example which I can give is I'm working with the Tier 1 law college in India to launch a program. It's a 2 years LLM program on a very specific area, and that will be that is driven from industry, from academia expert in creating that course curriculum, which will be absolutely practical. So therefore, while theory is one part that you guys learn in college and you will continue to learn, but the practical part is extremely important, which will come through mentorship program, coaching from academia, launching of this focused training. But the last point, which I think Major Jacob had pointed out, which is extremely important, is you have to have the continuous, the eagerness to learn, the hunger for learning. If you feel that everything will be fed to you and your growth story will be built by your manager, that's never going to happen. You will have no growth in a couple of years' time. So therefore that, eagerness, hunger, the willingness to learn has to be continuous from your academia, and you have to continue to learn, because you may not get too much time to really learn when you get into corporate. So I think a combination of this, to be very short, is what is required in a partnership with academia and industry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shubhadeep. I think, Dr. Sapna, with over 2 decades of rich experience in academia, getting students ready for the industry, share your views on it.
Thank you, Mr. Deepak, and thanking my Christ family for having me here to be the voice of the university. I'm going to divide this into 3 things, and with that, I'm going to be answering your 3 pillars for the respect of time. The first thing is going to be the shift in the university itself from being the teacher-centric to the student-centric or the learning-centric approach that we have taken in all our classrooms. And the teacher now is not a teacher anymore, but more a facilitator and a mentor to the students. So that makes the students the center of everything that we do. The second one is about the industry interface itself, how industry is no longer a supplement. You know, we don't take that as a supplement to us, but industry is a staple. And the reason why I say industry is a staple is because industry has been hand-holding us and working along with us in all our academic journey, right from the board of studies, to the curriculum, to the revisions, and ultimately to the internship, mentorship, and the recruitment itself. So it completes a loop together. And the third one is in terms of how the university itself has been very futuristic in its approach. Say, for example, the tech integration, just to very quickly to tell the students, we are no longer worried about the chat GPT. We are not going to be bothered about the chat GPT because we are as much used to the chat GPT or the Hugging Chat as any one of you are. So we are at home and we are at comfort so far as the tech integration is concerned, just to mention just one of that. But apart from that, you know, these issues on sustainability, cutting edge on gender, human values, and professional ethics has been the core of everything that we do. I mean, right, in terms of the activity, in terms of the curriculum, in terms of everything of our academic journey. And the last one, which I would want to flag, is about internationalization, how the university in its strategic planning itself is moving very strongly, almost on a war footing towards internationalization, having professors in practice from universities abroad and practitioners from abroad to come over to the university and be here with the students. I think, you know, this as a package, as a culmination, is what is moving the university on a very futuristic way. So that almost, you know, answers the three pillars that we had discussed and we were speaking about.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna. Aparna, with your 20 years of experience in HR, you've seen many graduates, fresh students come in and grow. So share your views on industry readiness and the role of both.
Hello? Can you hear me? I think I'm going to just not talk about the three pillars that you've spoken about because I think they have covered it and I don't want to cover the same thing. Here is, I think what I have seen in the last 2.5 years, which seems to be more relevant, is the gig working. I'm sure all of us understand gig working today. Now, whether it's going to be accepted or not is another topic that I don't want to get into. But that's one. But that's where I think all of us, and of course, using the chat GPT. I use chat GPT as well, but I use a paid version. There is a difference between a free and a paid version, right? So I think from that perspective, I think there's a lot of very clear blend between academic and industry, right? This is my experience from having hired students from various colleges, and of course the age gap is there. There's no wonder about that, but I think I have learned a lot from students who just graduated. Oh, amazing learning that I have. So I'm not going to talk about the three pillars because they have spoken, so something else.
Yeah, we're still left with three pillars. We just finished one, but the next pillar, which I'll come back to you, Aparna, is on cultural readiness. You know, I was actually in one of the panel discussions in one of the other colleges. We had a unique experience where the panel members were students, 12th standard, 10th standard, graduates, and postgraduates. And the ones who made the most amazing sense were 12th standard and 10th standard kids. They spoke about gender, identification of gender, and how close the society they grew up with or they're growing up with are, and how difficult it is for their friends who associate themselves with a different gender. And their views were so futuristic, which was so very different from the one who's currently in the post-graduation or somebody who's 15 years of experience in the industry. So I want to bring this topic where the person who's driving this topic in the industry did not see this when they came in. And the professional who will come and join the industry 5 years from now is already at the peak of their awareness. How do you handle at the corporate the clash of these two generations? Second is, how do we sensitize those areas of academia on these topics? and what role does industry play, to make sure that when the students step in, they understand what is equity, they understand what is inclusion, they understand what is diversity, the dimensions of diversity. It's a whole new challenge. Aparna, your views?
It's not a small topic that we can just close in the next 10 minutes. But
Just
having
a bit,
said that, I still remember we started talking about diversity way back in 2005 when I was at Cisco. It was micro inequities and all of those. I think those are still relevant today, right? It could be a small example, right? If all the four of us are talking and two of us know one particular language and the other two don't, what is the language that we're going to talk to each other on? It's going to be a common language.
Yeah.
Right? Small things. And of course, all of us are talking and standing, but we have another person joining us. Will we actually include the person or ignore the person? By the way, those are some parts of diversity that we still handle. Diversity is no longer gender that we started off way back in 2004, 2005. Today, it's moved on. And I think a little bit of what I see is organizations are still grappling with a lot of stuff. Right? From a gender perspective, not from gender, sorry, from a diversity perspective. Inclusion, now, that's another topic altogether. I work primarily with a lot of startups, right? At least for the last 2.5 years has been a journey from 150 to 1,200 folks that I have in my organization. Both diversity and inclusion has always been a challenge because we have folks across. 70% of them are blue-collar workforce. And for them, do they understand diversity? Do they understand inclusion? It's a different thing altogether. And when we hire students from college, not too sure they understand with the blue-collar, how are we going to talk about? How are we going to do? So quickly, what I'm going to say is the couple of things that we did was workshop, bringing in awareness, small examples, and I think that's just the beginning. I'm coming from there.
Got it. Thank you. Shubhadeep.
I think, one aspect, the reverse learning that you talked about, right? It's not about, the question is industry ready on what is happening on the other side? I think it's a learning that will be continuous. So while the corporates will do certain activities on D&I, etc., and they will continue to do, but the gap sometimes can be filled by students coming in, right? And I think that is very important because we will know their perspective, and it's a continuous evolving process that needs to be, upgraded from both sides. So I think that is how we try to, marry both sides of the expectations.
Dr. Sapna, any views on how the sensitization of academia on DEI topics like diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, very, very quickly. I bring in my experience from being the head of the recruitment at the School of Law. And one thing that we have always been told is that when the students are selected or, when the students are chosen, they're not chosen just for their competency or for their professional or technical competency, but what they're also chosen is if they have the cultural fit in that particular organization and the firm. So I think that way the university has been doing a lot of things about in terms of sensitization and orientations. And the sensitization and orientations are not just the academic kinds of the sensitization and the orientation. It is more about trying to understand how it is outside in the world, about everything, right from all kinds of diversity, not just the gender diversity, but all kinds of diversity, to understand about the cultural diversity, the regional diversity, the language diversity, absolutely, everything. So I think this cultural fit has been, very strong when we train the students and induct them into these programs.
Brilliant, brilliant, thank you. I'll give you an example of what I heard from one of the students in my last discussion. Here is I think, first year in graduation. The student made a statement saying that during pandemic, she saw that her mother used to go on the call, cook, father still on the call, but just working, focusing on the work, but mother had to do both. She was on the call, but she was also cooking, she was preparing tea, and she went back, she observed this, and she went back to mom and said, why only you should be on the kitchen while my father was only working? And you were working as well as doing your kitchen chores. That is a big change. Had the pandemic not happened, had people not started working from home, had the kids not started observing these things very closely, the conversation itself was such a big eye-opener. Now, students are far more discerning when they observe these things. They read these things. They have strong opinions. And I think as industry, what we need to do is come back to the corporate and come back to the academia and ensure what we promote as DE&I to our employees is what we also promote to our early career talent. I think that is a great responsibility on us, and also with the institutes to ensure that it is part of sensitization, it's part of the overall development of students. Quickly changing gears.
I'm going to pick up on
Yeah,
what you
please.
said, early career, right? I was very happy to hear that Christ has 50% of women, right, at the college. That's fantastic. I really love that. But what I was looking at is, because I come from XLRI, there are a couple of programs that as an alumni that we do. One of them that we do is 0 to 5 years called Upswing. Why do we even do that? Because from the sheer surveys that we've done or even spoken to some of them, what we've realized is I'm not blaming anybody here, but most of us women either send the money home to our parents and we don't know what happens to it, or we give it to, be it the husband if you're married, or anybody else, right? How many of us actually take cognizance of our financial independence?
Great point.
I think from that perspective, if academia also can throw more light on it and make sure, irrespective of the gender, it's taken care, I think that would help. So, sorry, just
No, thank you. Very, very important point. So quickly changing gears. We have now, about 8 minutes to cover 2 topics. But, we had this topic debated and discussed earlier about innovation. Let me bring in the panel with one statement. Innovation means you are expanding the horizon to think, experiment, come up with something new. Contrary, when we hire early career talents, we expect them to focus on task. We expect them to focus on measuring their output on XYZ task, which is convergence. We are talking about innovative mindset, but focus on micro tasks. So how do you think this divergent view of both innovative thinking but convergence and focus of thought is needed at academia, and what roles can we do? Starting from
Okay, very quickly,
Yeah.
only one thought I know we have only 4 minutes for this pillar, but one thing what I have observed is, and this is not unknown to all of you, it is very common, our education system has been built into a framework where we are not taught how to fail, which is extremely important. Unlike, in some other, geographies, they are taught how to fail. So when we have never seen failures, so some people, when they suddenly see a failure, the acceptance is very, very shocking. So therefore, when you are not taught how to fail, your mind will not be innovative and creative because you don't want to experiment. How many times, we are so open to go to our parents and say that I want to leave studies for 3 years and do some experiment. Now, there will be a lot of questions asked. There will be social questions, etc. So therefore, our ability to innovate or think, even if we are innovative, is restricted with a social framework which is playing around in our. So we need to break that, because that is very crucial when students are joining corporates where they have to experiment, they have to do. So I think that is extremely important from an innovation point of view. The second is, social network is extremely important. You have to be socially connected. Pandemic, while the example that you gave was a positive one, the negative part is I've also seen occasions where people who come through the academic and the pandemic side, they join corporates, they are not really ready to interact and socialize in a meeting, right? They would rather open their mobile and chat to the person who is sitting on the other side of the table, right? Because that's a change that they have seen. So if you want to learn, if you want to deliver, if you want to engage, all the good things that we learned from the head of HR in L&T's presentation, you will have to have a very strong social network. And if you cannot build that social network, 100 hours of training will not help you. So that is extremely important, and that's where I think industry, when they interact with academia, they need to inculcate these trainings in their mentorship program, in their coaching. And students will also have to do their bit. That's what I will.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubhdeep.
So, I mean, I think I'm going to just pick on that and continue. Here is what I've realized, right? Innovation, all of that, yes, it's all words unless we actually get into it and understand what it is. How many of us volunteer outside of our college, outside of our work? Not just so, how many of us do that? Can I just see a raise of hands? How many of us volunteer outside of our work, academia, and it has nothing to do with the work or anything that we do? Fantastic.
That's great.
That's a great number to see. How has it helped us? Hasn't it helped us in innovation and all of the others that we talk about? We're talking about agility. We talk about innovation.
Yep.
I think volunteering is where it will teach you everything, because it's not the same age group. It's across the age group. You learn. It's Gen Z too. I don't want to name the others, because we might come in that category. So I would say that's one way of looking at it. Yes, mentoring, coaching, all of that is there. Yeah. Social networking, when you start doing that, volunteering automatically comes into it. I've been doing it for 13 years, and there's a great pride in what we do. I'm sure of that. I'll leave it to Sapna now to.
Yeah, and I'm also picking up pages from all of us, and even from the keynote address that we had in the morning. I think when we are speaking about innovation, the university is positioned in a very unique place in the sense of the kind of the resources that are given to the students, in terms of the training that is given to the students, and also about the autonomy that the students enjoy, about the entrepreneurship and the innovative mindset that they do. Now, as much as we instill this courage and the innovative mindset to them, and when we send them to the industry, I think the industry has a huge responsibility to keep up this innovative mind. So I think from the academia, these have been, the push that has already been given to the students, but how they fare in the industry is, I think, the industry leaders will have to kind of take it on from there. And Mr. Sarkar was absolutely right when he said one of the ways that the industry looks at it, and the advice that he was giving to the youngsters, is that developing the social network is a very important thing. I mean, you get to know what the others are doing, you get to be in that social network. It almost kind of, gives you that insulation to take it on from there.
Thank you. I think post-pandemic era, social network, physical connections, physical presence, collaboration has so much more value now. What we thought was given and taken for granted is something which we all yearning for, because what happened through the pandemic. Last couple of minutes on the last point on academic leadership. This has been, again, the industry has, in the last 2 decades, had a very structured approach towards talent development. Developing future leaders, developing a talent pipeline for critical roles, lot of investments on learning tools and methodologies for functional skills, also a lot of investments and scientific ways of creating corporate leaders. Now, this question is for both academia and industry, saying that how can we create or share our practices with the academia to create that brilliant pipeline of leaders who will go and push the industry from an innovative perspective and be those great academic leaders. The second part of the question is, how can we from in the industry learn from some of the great academia leaders right now? We have some phenomenal academia leaders. The reason this question is, most of us in the industry, pardon me for saying this, there is a term known as QSQT. What is QSQT? Quarter se quarter tak. We were wired that way, right? But if you talk to an academic leader, he has a very long horizon. The vision is long. The vision has a lot of social responsibility to that. A lot of corporate leaders can learn through the academic leadership's vision. So this is just a question that I wanted to throw open, starting from you, Dr. Sapna.
Yeah. So I think what has set apart Christ from any other university, from any other higher education institution is that one of the DNA of Christ has been the social responsibility and the community engagement, which has given that humongous leadership capabilities to the students. And most of the schools do have centers, do have committees which are student-driven in order to instill that leadership in them and to take that forward. So I think these have been the two important things to propel them forward.
Great.
And basically to develop that leadership in them.
Okay. Sapna,
so here is what I would think, right? In most of the corporate world, we would say, hey, we need to do some research, before we come back with some. That's where I would say we from corporate should reach out to the academia to make sure we get the right way to do the research, because we in the organizations don't have time. I would say that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, perfect. Great point.
Okay. Now, just a thought on leadership. What we all should realize is leadership is not having a fancy designation or a hierarchy. That's a misconception, and that's where most people fail. Any space when you look, whether it's academia or in industry, leadership is related to skills. What skill you possess and how you leverage that skill. So therefore, we go back to the primary topic that we all started, developing skills in a continuous manner. So therefore, a leader is created by virtue of the skill he or she possesses and how they are able to leverage that skill. So the continuous focus for both sides will be to learn the skill, create that niche differentiator which differentiates you from the rest of the crowd. And from an industry perspective, I think industry should actually see in these students who has potential to be leader and groom them over time. Leaders are not created by birth, right? It is developed through time. So when industry is able to identify that, yes, he or she can be a potential leader, this is how I will nurture, and then effort should be from both sides to create leader. I think that's very critical from both sides.
Thank you so much. I know the mics will get turned off in the next 90 seconds, so let me conclude it. So it was great to have such divergent views, and this is a topic with no end. Every company, every institute have their own way of academia-industry relationship. What we wanted to touch upon was these 4 pillars to just provoke certain thoughts in the minds of both academia and corporate to ensure that the next wave of what industry-academia relationship evolves has these 4 pillars and more. Thank you so much for such a patient listening. Thank you so much for all your contributions. Thank you. Open for questions. Can we take 1 or 2 questions, please, if you don't mind?
One question.
1 question, please.
A wonderful discussion. My name is Sarmishta, and I'm the founder of this organization called Mindfully Sorted. We were, Aparna, I think, part of our community or something, yes? Yeah. So my question was on this respect. We touched upon diversity inclusion, we touched upon mindset building, on financial independence, innovation, both from the transitioning between the early career. My question to Sapna and Aparna both, that what are we doing for the mindset change? Because all of this, at the crux of it, needs breaking certain limiting barriers, social stigmas, breaking our, whatever the mental model structures that we are growing up to. At certain point, breaking them so that we open up for certain set of abundance, certain set of growth, certain set of failures that we talk about. So what, from both the aspect, I want to hear that you're doing to break that mindset.
Okay,
revive that mindset.
Thank you for this question. For me, breaking the mindset would mean that continuous training, the learning that gets indoctrinated, that gets inculcated in a student. So how do I test the key indicator for that? How do I measure that whatever that we have given to them has shown result? For me, it is when I see students, specifically when I see students of different diversity come up to us and to talk and to tell them about the situation that they are in. I think for me that is going to be the first step of success. For the students to understand that it is not a sense of normalization. It is something that they could ignore, or something that people would never acknowledge that they're going through, would be the first step of success to them. And now we have been seeing, there has been a lot of success stories where students do approach us and they tell us about their diversity. The diversity could range. It could be from gender diversity, or it could be from regional diversity, cultural diversity, different kinds of orientations, but then it is happening, where the students are able to come out and to tell us about it.
Thank you, Sapna. So I think I have a little different way of looking at it, right? Unfortunately, our culture says, don't do this, don't do that. As a woman, you can't do this. This is what I have learned, and it's taken me a long time to reach where I can proudly say, there is something that we women can do that the man can't do. Can anybody tell me what is that? Absolutely. Before you say that, we can give birth, they can't. Of course, that's something we have never looked at ourselves, right? We have never looked at ourselves on that way. But please, and we go through the 4 M's in our life. I don't even want to, by the way, the 4 M's that we have is menstruation, we have marriage, we have maternity, and we go through menopause. All of that is a mindset that we all go through. How do we shift from that? I can go on this topic because this is very close to my heart. But all I can say is there is nobody to stop us. We stop ourselves. Just a quick example. 2 days back, I was in Chennai. I met a lady who's 61, running a beautiful boutique, sari boutique in Chennai. You know when she started her entrepreneurship journey? 11 years back. That means she was 51. That is amazing, right? Who's there to stop us? We stop ourselves. So the first thing I normally tell everybody is, we can do it. Live life, queen or the princess size now. Don't wait for anybody to tell you.
I invite Dr. Jayadevan Nair, Dean School of Law, to felicitate the panelists and the moderator. Our moderator, Mr. Deepak BV. Our panelists, Mr. Subhadeep Sarkar, Ms. Aparna C, Dr. Sapna S. I thank the panelists, the moderator, and the Dean School of Law. As we conclude this enriching and insightful event, it is my distinct honor and privilege to invite Brigadier Jagdish Pandey, Director CPCG, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brigadier V.G. Jagdish, a veteran Army officer of the 1985 batch and an alumni of this prestigious institution of the 1980 to 83 batch. 3 days back I joined this institution as a faculty, a very talented faculty we have, experienced. I'm just 3 days old today. And I'll be taking over the appointment as the Director for Placement and Career Guidance, Corporate Connect and Alumni Engagement. What we saw today was really mind-boggling. Such insights into, right from the presidential address by the Honorable VC, then the keynote address given by a very, very eminent personality in the industry, 2 panel discussions excellently conducted, and whatever takeaways which we were thinking of, it has gone much beyond that, more than 100%, 200%. I'm deeply humbled and honored to be giving this vote of thanks I'm just very new, and they're treating me as a VIP, but I'm really very humble today. And that is the culture of this great institution. And this event, it is the first of its kind in this university. And it has gone off really very well because of the hard work put in by the entire team and the participation of the industry. I would firstly like to thank the Vice Chancellor of the Christ Deemed University, Dr. Father Jose C.C., for his crisp, inspiring and a very informative presidential address, which set the ball rolling for the events of the day. I would like to thank the keynote address given by Dr. C. Jayakumar, Executive VP L&T, who firstly accepted the invite, flew all the way from Mumbai just to be here with us, and give us such a very informal way he conducted his keynote address, which touched everyone, and they got to know what exactly it means to be in the HR line and how important it is for the human angle to be looked into these days. I would like to thank all the panelists of both the panel discussions, which was very educative, informative, contemporary, and it gave though it was, time was very limited, both these topics need an entire day. But it started igniting the minds. Now it is for us to take it up and take it further. Mr. Augustus Azaria, Dr. Rajesh US, Major Jacob Kurian, and Mr. Devanshu Das for the first panel, Mr. Deepak BV, Mr. Subhadeep Sarkar, Ms. Aparna C, and Dr. Sapna. I thank you a lot for a great panel discussion. I would like to thank all the industrial reps who are here. First, I would like to thank Mr. Shinto Joseph and Mr. Tanveer Singh, who were instrumental in getting this whole event organized, right from their dedication, the involvement with us, and then the interest shown voluntarily was beyond what we expected. And I really thank them from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the university. Unfortunately, Mr. Tanveer Singh couldn't be here because of some health issues. So now I invite Mr. Shinto Joseph to come on stage and accept felicitation from Dr. Johnny Joseph. I would like to thank all the corporate participants for being here, taking the time out through this traffic, and again they have to go back in this traffic, and wholeheartedly participating in this event. I would like to thank the Pro Vice Chancellor, who was a big help behind the scene, Dr. Father Viju PD, for the overall support and also for facilitating the panelists. I would like to thank the Chief Finance Officer, Deans and HODs for the immense support. Here I would like to specially thank Dr. Johnny Joseph, Controller of Exams, who tirelessly with his team coordinated the whole event meticulously since last few months. I would like to thank the faculty participants, students, student volunteers at every stage. In fact, we saw such excellent cultural programs. I have to thank all the participants who took part in these programs, the MCs who did an excellent job here, and the staff of the CPCG for their deep involvement and execution of this great event. I like to thank the auditorium in charge, Mr. Rajan, and his team for excellent arrangements for this event. And last but not the least, I would like to thank Mr. Jose and Mr. Robin from the facility management for arranging the lunch which we are going to enjoy. In the end, I would like to apologize if I have inadvertently missed some names, but sincerely thank each and everyone who have contributed in making this event a great success from the bottom of my heart. Lastly, I would like to request the corporate guests to interact with this university regularly, spread the word, and utilize the high quality consultancy service, research facilities, and help us in placements, in internships, all these things, so that it will mutually benefit both the industry and us. Thank you a lot. Jai Hind.